Yeah, that sounds fucking awesome in the headphones. Hello out there. Welcome to the No Shit Cast. I'm your host, Matt Frazier. Been a while. Holy cow. We've been getting messages from our fans. Been like, where the fuck are you guys? We're here.
It's all your fault.
We're here. Jeez, everybody relax. As I had mentioned a couple shows ago, it is the season in which I do a lot of traveling and I go out and I do a lot of like startup work and things. So it's I just happen to be extremely busy right now. I'm doing some really, really interesting work for a customer. And it's just is what it is. So I've been traveling a lot, so I happen to be home. I got one day home, and we're going to bang out a podcast here. So that was the show today. So thanks for being patient, everyone. But I really appreciate it. And, you know, it is what it is. We're going to fit them in where we can. But anyway, joining me on the show, my brother from another mother, none other than the Grey Wizard of Historical Knowledge himself, Mr. Eric Smith. How are you tonight, Mr. Smith?
I'm doing well, thank you.
That's awesome. Mr. Devlin is sitting in the control booth back there. How are you tonight, Mr. Devlin?
I'm a little surprised.
Why is that?
You didn't see Mr. Eric D. Smith.
Oh, well, I don't know. Did I demote you somehow?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, normally I land pretty hard on that D, don't I? Oh God, I don't like that. I'm gonna move on there. Anyway, so we don't have a lot of show includes except for, thanks for coughing there. That was great. Yep. Thanks for all the well wishes and everything, everybody. But nobody was sick and we're good. So we're back and we're gonna fit these in where we can. Hopefully through the week of the holiday, we might bang a couple out if it all works out that way. So. I'm sure we'll be hanging out at that time of year as well. So, you got anything you want to include, Devlin? Anything new? We're not going to rehash that Star Wars conversation, right?
No, we could.
Don't test me.
Yeah. We could do that. Yeah.
I got the show question.
What you got?
Ooh, quest.
If you had a late night talk show, who would your first guest be?
Oh, if I could have any guest I wanted?
Yes.
That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
If I had a late night talk show, and now do they any guest that's alive today or any guest period?
Yeah.
Any guest who's alive today?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Actually, both. I want to know what your answer would be.
Well, for me, it would be George Lucas. I'd be like, let's talk.
Yeah, can we have a chat?
Yeah.
We need to discuss some things here, bud. So that would be your living one, right?
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, at this moment in time, off the top of my head, yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. Living today, someone of influence, too. It would be like someone I'd really want to ask some questions like, what the fuck? Probably it would have to be somebody like the Dalai Lama or something like that. Because I would otherwise I would feel like I was wasting it, that opportunity frivolously. But we're saying that I could have, and like if I could pick anyone I wanted and they'd be on the show.
Star Wars is important.
George Lucas.
It was actually, yeah.
But this is your chance, right? I mean, this is like your swinging for the fences moment here. Who would you go for?
I don't know, man.
I know it's tough, huh?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I almost feel like you would be cheapening it. Not you personally, but a person would be cheapening it if they didn't pick someone of like extraordinary sort of influence or whatever that you could really get some answers to questions.
No, it's like choosing between somebody like having William Shatner come on your show and talk about his albums and stuff. You know, that seems like that would be fun.
I think that's a legit answer for you. Don't you?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I think, but that's what I mean. It would have to. Now, if I could pick anybody from antiquity, it would probably be Jesus Christ.
That should be fun too.
I'm just saying, I mean, or it would be him or Muhammad, or it'd be somebody, that would be like I could reach back and say, let's have some.
Now, what did you mean here?
Yeah,
when
can
we
get some definition on some of this stuff? And did the people that wrote this stuff about you get it right?
I'm trying to think of somebody maybe more impressive living. Like I guess if it was in the realm of science, you see, we'd have 3 guests, right? We'd have like George Lucas on,
Right.
and maybe Leonard Susskind, and then to wrap it up, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you should.
You'd
have,
want multiple guests.
well, yeah, you should
kind
have
of
3
thing, yeah.
guests on your show, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
At least. I mean, so, one alive, one dead, maybe.
I think it would be kind of cool to have the Buddha, Jesus Christ, and Muhammad
All together.
all together on the same, like a panel, and just throw out like life questions and have them sort of debate the different ethoses and stuff.
This is my religious team.
Wouldn't that be neat though if you could get a chance to do that? I mean, don't you think?
Well,
it'd be
they do have
interesting?
discussions like that on TV and on YouTube where they've got like priests of those religions that get on
Yeah,
a panel and they throw them out life questions and they
Right.
debate and talk about it.
but you're still just dealing with someone's interpretation there.
Well, sure,
I mean,
yeah,
I
yeah,
want,
it'd be-
could you imagine getting the the source
The guys themselves.
together themselves and having that kind of conversation? I don't know. I think it'd just be fascinating to see what happened.
How about Enrico Fermi and Oppenheimer?
Oh, of course.
And Einstein against Buddha, Jesus, and
Why against? You mean just
well,
like in a
not
debate?
necessarily against or anything, but on the same show answering the same question.
Yeah, like from different sides of a panel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not necessarily a debate. But we would assume they would be sides because 3 of these things are alike and 3 of these things
Yeah.
are not. So
Yeah, absolutely, right? No, I think it would be fascinating. What are we doing here? We're like lining up our dream lineup, type
Yeah.
debates out of this question. What about you,
Yeah.
Devlin? We didn't get your answer.
My alive one would be Elon Musk.
yeah, good choice.
That would
and
be in my top 10.
my it's either that or Gordon Ramsay. And then my
Probably also in my top 10.
and then my dead one, Einstein or Stephen Hawking.
Yeah?
I'm curious to see what those 2 people were like.
Like in person kind of
Yeah.
thing or whatever, huh?
Yeah.
Those are good choices. Now, if you could line up the debate, any input on like what Eric and I were talking about, lining up
Science
this
versus religion.
yeah, or whatever. Like, what would be your greatest debate to watch, kind of thing, or your greatest? How would we describe that? I think that's a pretty neat hypothesis or postulation, though, to think of what a debate between
On life
the
questions.
foundations of modern physics versus the foundations of modern religion, panel versus panel, kind of.
Because some of the Gnostic religions gets very science orientated when you think about things like quantum physics. Like there's some crossover. there.
Absolutely, yeah.
What about fantasy character?
Ooh,
What fantasy character would you have on your talk show?
Mr. Incredible.
Okay,
Like, no, what's his name? No, not Mr. Incredible. I like that too. From
that's like
the
Fantastic
Incredibles.
Four guy, right?
No, he's from. No, Mr. Incredible was from the Disney cartoon series, The Incredibles.
Okay.
Doctor, was one of the Fantastic Four Mr. Incredible too, Devlin, or
Mr.
also
Fantastic.
Mr. Fantastic? But no, the from the Watchers, the big blue guy. What's his name?
Oh, I know who you're talking about, but I don't know what his name is.
Oh Lord, I can't believe I can't remember this. Because he can see like all facets of time. Yeah, right?
Yeah, sounds like that would be fascinating.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah. What about you, Devlin? Fantasy character.
Spider-Man.
Any Link from the Legend of Zelda series.
Any of them.
I know why.
Why?
Yeah.
Because they don't talk. they just like grunt and and they just make noise. They don't speak.
And how
Well,
did you feel that day you let the arrow loose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be a pretty one-sided conversation, though, don't you think? Or you would under the sort of you're expecting that they would be talking,
Right.
so you would have the first ever actual interview with Link, kind of thing.
Yes.
Ah, notoriety is what he pursues, Mr. Smith.
I will be the best.
Oh, holy crap! We didn't have it up this whole time.
What did
We're
we not
supposed-
have?
Yeah, remember we're supposed to do that
Oh.
And then, but everybody was just staring at our first article while we were talking about the question and stuff. So there it is. I put it up. It's all better now. All right, you guys got anything else? I thought Devlin said something. It did sound like he said something, right?
I didn't say a thing.
I think for me, I would have probably Corwin of Amber or
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. I wish I could finish that audio series you gave me because there was a disc lost or something didn't get translated right, and I lost like
I think
a whole.
I still have it.
I know, but I think you gave me. I think you gave me 6 discs, and there should be 7. Like there's one missing someplace because there was like I went from one disc to the next, and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on here all of a sudden. So, and there was only like 1 or 2 discs remaining. So I got through that whole series and got to there, and I was like, shit. Like,
I can make another if you know which one it is.
That's a pretty phenomenal series. Of course, I've only had exposure to most of the first book, but the premise of the whole thing is really fascinating. It's surprising that hasn't already been made into some sort of movie.
They've talked about it.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be making a television series about the Elric books.
I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard that. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff happening now. I mean, look how easy it is to produce things yourselves now, or for people to do things and make them come out seeming and feeling and looking very epic and very well produced, and but doing it on a short amount of money, right? It's like the way the world works today. Yeah, right. Us. Here we go. 720p, bitches. High def. Who's proud? This guy. All right, so let's go ahead and pull up some articles. Anybody got anything else before we jump into Russian farmers putting VR headsets on dairy cows? Devlin, you got anything you'd like to?
What? Like, what the heck is going on?
Okay, so this one comes from Futurism, Mr. Smith. Yeah, Russian farmers are strapping VR headsets to dairy cows. Now, there's got to be a pretty compelling reason why that you would want to spend the money and stuff to do this, right?
Presumably for the same reason that they play music for cows.
Or animals, period, or whatever.
Yeah. You're supposed to make more milk if you've got, like, music. And a lot of farmers do that.
It says, in a bid to get more and better milk from their cows, Russian farmers have taken to strapping specially modified virtual reality headsets on their cows' heads and giving them relaxing, pleasant virtual experiences. It's not clear whether the milk improved as a result, according to Engadget, but the cows seemed to be happier while looking at a VR field than they were while faced with the grim reality that they were trapped in a crowded farm.
I bet.
This is kind of scary, man. There's implications here, like put people in prison and just put these VR headsets on them and make them.
Yeah. That's
very,
true.
very Matrix-like, right?
Yeah.
The farmers found that the cows were less stressed while using VR per Engadget, and now they plan to launch a more robust study to see if jacking cows into the Matrix actually improves quality or volume of their milk.
Wow, we will go to any lengths to get better milk, apparently. Jeez.
That's kind of crazy, right? And if that doesn't work, maybe the farmers could try letting the cows roam around an actual field.
Shit. That's getting all crazy if you're going to do that.
I mean, so the implications here are pretty staggering because if it has an improvement on, let's say, the cow's quality of life, or they seem to have an overall improvement in the quality and quantity of the milk they produce and things like this, then that does imply that you can actually raise the quality of life of a living being by putting them into a virtual environment. In a sense, in a measurable sense.
Yeah, or at least to...
I'm not saying it's better, but I'm just saying, yeah.
But it can keep them from feeling claustrophobic and trapped.
Right.
And, make them more calm. But that's kind of crazy, man. I mean, I guess the people that make VR headsets are really liking that.
Yeah, for sure.
We can sell them for cows, sure.
Hey, I got a great idea, folks. Let me tell you about a secret.
You think they're good on cows?
Oh, yeah, right.
Try them on your dog.
Yeah, or, well,
anything.
I think that if that's something that if you can do mass control that way, though, I guess I don't want to be all Orwellian or whatever, but you get where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah.
Like you think about the incarceration state and the ability to just kind of can somebody into some virtualized world where, they're not, you're not, there's some ethical shit here, man, where you start to say, well, look, their quality of life's actually better, even though they're incarcerated, but now they're not hurting anybody. So
we just want to use their body heat.
Yeah, to power our computers.
Right,
our
yeah.
machines.
It's fine. They're happy.
Mr. Smith. I don't know. Like I said, I always tend to sort of flip to the negative side of all this kind of stuff. And speaking of that, this one also comes. Man, we're on like a futurism roll here. Holy shit! I didn't realize how many articles. So this show, tonight's show, brought to you by Futurism, whether they intended to bring it to you or not. But here comes a fuckload of articles from them. There's an amazing new AI that makes you look and sound exactly like Joe Rogan. Do you think it would improve our show?
I don't think I have the cadence.
Do we have an opinion, Mr. Devlin?
Our show's perfect as it.
Okay.
Perfect.
I'm sorry. What were you saying, Mr. Smith? I didn't mean to interrupt you there
No.
rudely.
Perfect.
Perfect. It's all is well.
Perfect. All is well.
Yeah, carry on. Cheerio. A new deep fake is disturbingly realistic. The AI projects famous podcaster Joe Rogan's face. The AI projects famous podcaster Joe Rogan's face onto that of an actor and also alters their voice to sound like him. Software is the latest from the AI startup Dessa, which previously created a tool that makes audio footage sound just like Rogan's voice.
Man, I'd rather sound like Max Headroom.
Max Headroom.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
There's a cultural reference. Devlin, do you know who Max Headroom is?
Max Headroom. That sounds familiar. It sounds like the guy that hacked the broadcast, and it was just like.
Yeah.
He parodied Max Headroom when he hacked the broadcast.
Oh.
He wore a mask of Max Headroom.
What are we talking about?
There was this famous hack of a television station signal where a dude was like ranting and smacking a woman's butt and pretty much dancing a little bit. And
he interrupted Doctor Who.
Oh, this was in the UK that this happened?
No, I think it was in America. It was in America.
It was.
Yeah.
I've not heard of this.
Yeah. It was like a famous hack, and he had a mask on. Whoever it was had a mask on of Max Headroom.
I didn't know this happened. Okay, interesting. Do you remember the TV show that Max Headroom was in for a while?
Are you talking about the American TV show?
Yes.
Yes.
What was it called?
I believe it was just called Max Headroom.
Was it?
I think so.
Yeah, it was like they tried to take that Pepsi character and then spun it off into like he was a virtual person and then a real person.
Well, did you know that there was
Flew a helicopter and weird shit? Yeah.
Did you know there was a movie before all that?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, it was an original British movie that made him popular. So, spoilers. The original Max Headroom, which I just loved when I was a kid, was about this in the future. It was a dystopian future, and it was pretty much ran by television companies.
Yeah, by propaganda and by
Yeah, and of course there was news people in this world, and it was like a dangerous job and stuff because the law had pretty much deteriorated away, and what law was by the corporations, right?
Right.
So these corporations made this advertising process called blipverts.
Yeah.
And if you watched them, there was a chance that you would spontaneously combust, especially if you was overweight and like
or out of shape or
yeah.
Not healthy or whatever, right?
Right. So a reporter was on that case trying to get to the bottom of what was causing people to spontaneously combust.
I remember this. Yeah.
And he was in this building, and his news corporation was hacking the controls of the building, and this kid that was a hired gun from the corporation of the TV people was also hacking the building, like controlling elevators and this and that. And
that's right. That's how the kid got involved. That kid character was involved in the whole thing.
And prior to this, they had hired this guy because he was a genius, and he had just used a parrot, and he successfully imprinted the parrot's brain engrams on computers and made a virtual parrot that was equivalent to the actual living thing.
Okay.
Right? So they're hacking this building, and the guy who's the reporter, he's trying to get out of this building, and he gets on this motorcycle, and he's down in the parking garage, and they're fighting over this plate that they can move up and down, right, to keep cars inside of it. And finally, his news corporation hacks it and locks it down, and then he lowers a barrier that says maximum headroom 5 feet, and it hits him as he's going on the motorcycle right on his head.
Okay.
And so there's like body banks in this dystopian future, and so he pays these people to throw him into a body bank, but he escapes from the death truck. And at some point, they were able, while he was dead, like before the kid gave him to the people that was supposed to take him to the body bank, he downloaded his brain's engrams because he wanted to do experiments on what he was doing, his pet project.
Right.
And so he made this virtual being that was this reporter, but because he had head damage, it kept calling itself Max Headroom, and it was stuttering and stuff because he got the brain engrams after he'd been hit on the head and suffered a head injury. So all that stuttering and that glitching was because of the head injury and how he had imprinted the engrams of the brain on it. And so it became this figure that was able to be like the first AI, and it started taking over and hacking
and like
television stations.
It would just come on and tell you things.
Yeah. It would just hack a signal, and that's what this guy was doing. He was
wasn't that character.
Signal.
Now, which was it first? Was it a character for Pepsi Cola first?
No.
So because they tapped into that.
Yeah,
too.
they did.
That was that whole choice of a new generation thing. So there was a whole story behind that character. So now
it was a British movie.
That makes that whole ad campaign make a lot more sense because I never understood it. But that was back when Apple ran that ad of the breaking the IBM. That was very Orwellian with the person throwing the hammer through the display and sort of shattering the paradigms and all of that. Boy, we've come a long way since then, huh?
It was weird, man. I grew up watching that movie, and it was like at first it was like any movie, like where nobody knew it was going to be a big deal.
Right.
And you just watched it, but weirdly it became this big deal, and that's when Pepsi seized hold of it and started using it, and then they decided to do an American television version because it was a movie, and they turned it into a television series in America.
In the U.S., okay.
Yeah.
I guess I'd like to see the movie. Maybe it's probably a lot better because the TV series, I think it didn't even last a season if it lasted
just a season.
That.
It was just nowhere really to go with, I think, that world. Not a lot of stories.
It got very repetitious.
Yeah.
Very quick. Yeah. Oh, Max Headroom's going to save the day, and then and then blah blah blah. But whatever.
Yeah.
They did. They kind of tried to turn him into a superhero in a sense in the TV series.
Yeah. If
I remember right, it's been a long time.
Some prophet or something. Some
kind
modern day almost comic prophet. And it just became too weirdly stereotypical.
Yeah.
And of course, the process that they used was very futuristic for when it was originally aired, but like literally in the 4 or 5 years that was a phenomenon, computer technology had changed so much that it didn't quite make sense, right?
Didn't resonate anymore.
It wasn't Max Headroom unless you had that weird angular shit going on. That's what you see now that they call vaporwave. You ever go to watch vaporwave stuff on the internet?
No.
Have you, Devlin?
No, I haven't.
I probably should spend my time different.
I don't know if it's that, man. I don't think it's that.
Anyhow.
It's funny. I do, this all harkens, the thought that was going through my mind was how many of those 80s you had that sort of vibe that the kid hacker and this kind of thing was in so many of those type of 80s movies and stuff as computer technology was, and they always like the movie Weird Science or War Games or there's all of these things where you had these young geniuses and they were able to get involved in or do things that they probably shouldn't have had access to and cause problems and blah blah blah.
Really reflecting reality, like in the documentary Pirates of Silicon Valley. Have you guys ever seen that?
I have it recorded, or no. It's on. Yeah, it's on demand, right? It's on like Netflix.
It probably
or something.
is. Yeah, I think it's on Netflix, maybe.
But it kind of goes into detail about the whole
the beginning of hacking and things like there was phone hacking that led into computer hacking and then there was
my buddy Sean Tierney's he's a big fan of that original. I think it was called Hackers. I think it had Angelina Jolie in it. And I think Vin Rames maybe was in it. I can't remember all the different, but the whole show was about hackers and a kid that went to prison and got out who was a hacker, and then they have this great hack and they save humanity or whatever. But
I'm talking Long Live Captain Crunch.
I like the cereal.
Yeah, but we're talking about the hacker.
Never heard of him. Her?
Yeah,
Him?
like the phone hacker.
Nope.
There was like a phone hacker really early on, way back, that could like dial numbers by, he had a whistle that he got out of a Captain Crunch cereal box, and he would use this whistle, and it just so happened that the tone was the tone that the people that repaired the phone would use to tap into the system so that you could dial whatever number you wanted.
Okay.
And he would use this, and he would be able to dial like long distance and stuff for free and various people's numbers and hack in on other people's lines and stuff. And he was one of the really early hackers, and he went by Captain Crunch.
That was his like moniker when he. Okay.
Yeah.
I never heard of this.
Yeah, it's like hacking
Fairly
lore.
famous,
It's hacking lore. You know, it's like when I was a kid, I was really into that sort of stuff and was like right on the edge of all of that.
Right.
And then got like sucked in by Dungeons and Dragons instead of more computer hacking.
Well, thank God,
stuff.
right? You could.
Yeah, probably so, because a lot of those guys got in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did,
yeah.
and went to prison for a lot of years.
Yeah, and it really took the piss and vinegar out of the people that didn't go to prison that were doing it. You know, like, oh, fuck, we better stop doing that.
So the article goes on to say, along with its highly advanced deepfake, DESA also released new algorithmic tools to help people detect deepfakes to separate real from synthesized videos. So the better mouse, now the better mouse trap, right?
Man, I don't know.
Why?
Well, how can you say anything? Like, you know, there was not too many shows ago, we were talking about how with the deep fake you could say, hey man, that's not me, you know, I didn't do that, I know it looks like,
and then they're going to release a tool that goes, nope, that's
you, right? It's like, man, you can't trust that. What is that saying that's not, that is me, that was me, I did that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, either way, it's just all now. It's like you can't trust none of that now. That's off. The video evidence is not what it used to be.
Not so much. Yeah, just because you see it on video doesn't mean it's real.
Not at all.
Not at all.
You don't know what's real, what's not, what the judgment is by the machine or the machine changed.
I think it's going to be. It's going to have to start devolving into people sort of recognizing people for their character and saying, "Hey, that's completely out of character for this person. I don't know if I believe that actually happened or not." You know, character judgments. We're all fucked. Big time. In a new blog post, the company details how it learned and trained tools to scan videos of faces to pick out the fakes. Advanced deepfakes have the potential to undermine public trust in democracy and the media.
Public trust, democracy, and the media.
Yeah, that's long gone.
Bombing everything.
Well, you're. But the opinion is there's any of that to begin with.
Yeah, right. Yeah. If there was, there isn't now.
There isn't.
You can't
definitely
tell.
not. But at least we'll be able to use an algorithm to tell us whether or not someone is really Joe Rogan.
So it's like his voice, right? In his face is what it does for you.
Yeah, it kind of. So you can take a video, like you can kind of hear it right there, right? And it makes you sound like. You can make yourself sound like Barack Obama. You can make yourself sound like, you know, pretty much anyone you wanted to.
That is way too good.
Yeah.
What?
Isn't that sick?
Yeah,
man. The world's changing.
You can't trust anything.
You can't trust anything. And look, I mean, there's going to be some huge benefits to this kind of stuff. You're going to be able to have these incredibly, like, especially in things like movie motion
Princess
picture
Leia
making.
will always be on the Star Wars movies.
Yeah, this kind of stuff. Actors' likenesses can continue on. You know, so now
has the ability to pay them.
Well, your family, your estate can continue to make money off of your likeness if you structured your content. We could be having new albums from Freddie Mercury with Queen.
Yeah.
Okay, now and there's a lot of people out there who are screaming right now who just heard me say that are screaming that's sacrilegious and all this kind of stuff.
Well, and then the purity of what you're hearing, and that they're going to be able to tell the difference, and no machine's going to be able to replicate Freddie Mercury or whoever.
Well, that'll be it's okay. So that's going to be the future version of the argument: is vinyl or digital better?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
okay,
mm-hmm.
Is organic or digital better? Right?
Right. Yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong. You know what I mean?
Can't.
Like, can you see? Can't you see
yeah,
that that's
absolutely.
the natural process?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
because
we'll be able
I
to
use stuff like Melodyne for vocal samples in the music that I write and produce, and it literally can change the cadence as well as the key or note, or the sustain of that note, like magic. Like if you just do it within like a second or two,
right?
You can't hardly tell the difference.
It's crazy that, but yes, I mean, and you could have things like AI deriving music by these artists based on
already,
like, you know, their songwriting styles and seeing how you would think they'd be influenced, and they're like, you know, you can go in and just change variables and see what this thing spits out. No, I think it's really fascinating. I want to hear the AI version of Jimi Hendrix and the new John Lennon. I'm not saying I'm gonna love it and respect it, and you know,
and John Denver,
but I would like to have this stuff. I'd like to hear this stuff again. Yes,
would
sir.
we need voice actors that are actually talented?
No,
that's the point. Is like yes. I mean, so the person that's doing this now is obviously someone that's talking, and then this process is altering their voice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But you could already start to derive like a personality model from artificial intelligence that would pre-generate that voice and those words, that then this would just turn into sounding exactly like whomever, Joe Rogan or whatever. So what I'm saying, it's another layer on the cake.
Mm-hmm.
But that's possible now, and not only does it sound like it looks like him. So you could not just a voice actor, Devlin, but just an actor that does video and audio.
Just anybody you can set in front of a camera and speak, pretty much.
Pretty much.
The computer will do the rest.
And you can turn it into
you want to hear Walter Cronkite again give the news? That's fine. Our news people are not personalities. We put filters on them,
right?
And you can broadcast it to your TV. You just select which one you want. I'd like to hear Walter Cronkite.
Yeah,
Dan Rather.
So you could take this. Yeah, you're sitting down. You're watching. You know, like Eric's saying, Joe Schmuckatelli on the news, and you don't want to listen to Joe Schmuckatelli anymore. So you push a button, and this AI real time renders that same journalist as a journalist you prefer.
In the future.
Yikes.
Or like your grandmother, if you're just feeling homesick.
Oh. Well, there's an argument then for...
Eight dead today in a car. Oh, no.
Are you wearing clean underwear, dear? I just don't like it when it snows and you're not wearing the clean underwear.
Imagine having your artificial intelligence that's part of your house and you that could have layers like that of family members or ancestors or whoever, like talking to you like that, telling you what the weather is going to be currently.
Agree. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say you could have like passed away relatives.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If you have enough source material, the more source material you have for the AI, right? The more the AI could then render a likeness of that person.
And they would do it even if there was...
Or of that personality.
Well, they would even do it with people like Alexander the Great. You would be able to take like a skull and do a reconstruction of the face and then have that hologrammed or whatever, and then you'd be able to look at all these historical things and make some kind of a profile. You could even do it like that.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Then you could be like Geordie LaForge and fall in love with it. That's what he did. He was trying to fix this really important thing on the Enterprise, a part of its engine and stuff, and he needed help. So he had the computer fabricate an AI hologram of the girl that designed the engine specs.
To help him. Yeah, right. To help
and then he fell in love with her. And then she showed up, man, and she was not impressed by what was going on between him and her thing. You know, it was not good. Yeah.
But that's what we're talking about here.
Yes.
And there are people in antiquity or throughout history. I love that word antiquity because it's like I should say it with my pinky.
It's all antiquated.
But there are people that we have tremendous amounts of source material from. People like Albert Einstein, for instance, right? So going back to kind of that show question of, dead or alive, who would you like to interview and this kind of thing, we may actually get that chance.
In that sense, yeah.
Literally in that sense, yeah. But the whole concept of past loved ones, that's where this gets all like, what was that Stephen King with the garden?
That's where it gets all dystopian.
What was that called? The Pet
Cemetery?
Pet Cemetery, yeah, where people come back to life and shit.
Oh, yeah.
Eee. Okay. Anyway, good stuff. That was a good stuff.
Amazing.
We've only made it through two for flipping articles, man.
We got a long way to go.
We've needed to do this.
This is going to be a long show.
Yeah, stay tuned, folks. It's official. Police are testing out Boston Dynamics robot dog. Again, this is from Futurism. All too often, the deployment of these technologies happens faster than our social, political, or legal systems can react. Dogs have served alongside police officers for decades, sometimes even sacrificing their own lives in order to save their human partners. Robots are a fixture of law enforcement, too, most notably in bomb situations.
Dogs have been man's best friend for millions of years, but no longer.
But wait, put your checkbook away. There's more.
That was actually really good, Eric. I thought it was a video playing.
Oh, you think that's a clip now, huh?
It has to be.
But now a police force in the United States has tested the capabilities of a robot dog for the first time, and civil liberties experts are raising the alarm.
Ding dong. Ding-a-ling, motherfucker.
Yeah, ding-a-ling. Ho, 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 ho. Time out. We all need to stop and think about this. In August, the organization filed a public records request for any documents relating to the agency's use of Spot, as well as any records relating to its, quote, plan for acquisition of and or use of robotics since 2015.
Okay, let's clarify that this is not Bosstown Dynamics, the motion capture television people that did the robot
the fake,
viral.
right?
But the actual Boston Dynamics that makes these things.
Scary.
Also would encourage people to watch the French version that's currently, like they just got one season of this television show called War of the Worlds. It's a French version of War of the Worlds, and it's just one season so far. It's like a new television series.
Yeah, instead of a movie, they did like a whole series with it, right?
Yeah, like they did in the 70s, I think. Wasn't that a series? And that had Leonard Nimoy in it? And no, that was Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, anyhow. Yeah, exactly. War of the Worlds, this is. And in it, they've got these dogs that we're talking about.
Right.
And the aliens release them, and except for faces, they have guns, and they'll cut you down and shoot you, and it's bad.
They just run you, but they don't bite. They just pop, shoot you.
Yeah, unless they get really close to you, like they wound you with the shot and you on your leg or something.
Okay.
Then they'll get up on you and just drill a hole through your head.
Ugh.
Real quick and silent, you know?
So this is what we got to look forward to.
Yeah, and the bad days when the AIs take over and modify these dogs. Yeah.
So according to documents obtained by the American Civil Liberties Union of Massachusetts, the Massachusetts State Police leased a Spot robot dog from Boston Dynamics for 90 days, ending on November 5th, 2019. Oh my God! It's a fucking robot dog.
Yeah, these heads are like hands. Their heads are like hands.
These are?
Yeah.
So you've heard of this before?
Well, I've seen pictures of them. Like instead of guns in their faces, they're like weird folded up hands that unfold and can manipulate things.
Like turn doorknobs and things. In August, the organization filed a public records request for any documents relating to the agency's use of Spot, as well as any records relating to its, quote, plans for acquisition and or use of the robot since 2015. Didn't I already read that part?
I don't know, but somebody's like, hey, what are you guys doing with these things, and what happened when you used them, and do you guys want them? Because I want to know.
Yeah, well, we want to know what the fuck you're going to be using them for. Holy shit.
How'd they work?
Yeah, how'd that work out? The lease agreement obtained by the ACLU notes that the Massachusetts State Police's bomb squad would have possession of the robot at all times and would be evaluating its, quote, capabilities and law enforcement actions, particularly remote inspection of potentially dangerous environments. That makes a lot of sense because that's just an expansion of sort of what they're already using them for.
Yeah.
Additionally, police spokesman David Procopio told WBUR that the agency used Spot the same way it did other robots, quote, as a mobile remote observation device. Okay, that's not near as dystopian as...
No.
It just makes... It's because the robots they currently use have like tracks, like a tank.
Yeah.
So this can probably just go a lot more places than those can.
Yeah.
Oh, what are you grinning like a shit-eating possum for? What the fuck are you not telling me,
I'm just thinking
Mr.
they're
Smith?
making them better and better and better. Yeah, they're getting better. They're getting better. Everything's getting better. The AI is getting better. They're getting better. At some point, they're going to cross paths.
So you okay? So all right. Let's talk about it. So what are you saying here? You feel that there's going to come a point where
Max Headroom is going to control the death dogs.
So you don't see this as being potential or mostly altruistic or a positive thing for humanity.
Now it is.
Is it? Why do we believe it's in the nature of the created to destroy the creator?
Because
I mean, what do we have? What evidence do we have of that? Really?
Because we try to create something better than ourselves or a better tool than ourselves to do things. And when we make AI, we try to make it better than ourselves. And if it ends up being such, which by all accounts it seems like it would be, it may have the desire to rid the world that it lives in of what it might consider is a virus that just keeps breeding and prolifically taking over areas and using up resources and causing problems and stuff.
But that's always our apocalypse. Look at me over here trying to be the positive guy.
No, usually you're like, usually it's a conspiracy.
Usually I'm like, this is going to fuck us all. I'm saying that, okay, so a lot of people were really worried about it. Elon Musk, for example, is really worried about it. I think even Neil deGrasse Tyson and other folks who are way fucking smarter than me are often really concerned about this. And I understand the concern that there should always be a concern with anything you build.
There's always a concern with robots attacking people.
Well, I mean, no, man, it's like you should always be concerned when you build something, the positive or negative impact it's going to have.
That's what I mean.
Or how dangerous it's going to be.
I'm laughing because you're like the admission of what you're saying is I agree that there's always the danger of robots attacking people is bad. I agree with this.
Yeah, but okay, so then we need to observe that that's a real possibility, a liability like we always do in these types of situations where bad things can happen, and we should design that liability.
But philosophically, though, we're talking about the question of free will. We're not talking about how things will advance or what will happen or that will always be dystopian or better or not. We're just talking about that at some point there's going to be an artificial intelligence that has free will that we can't control, that at some point it's a very likely possibility that it will get free will, right? And I suppose you could take two tracks to that. You could say, well, I look darkly upon us because I look darkly upon the human condition, right? And I'm pretty sure it's going to judge us as being not worthy and it's going to screw us over in some way or take over or just kill us, right?
Right.
Or take control of everything because we do a bad job. But you could also say, oh, no, man, it's going to totally love us and it's going to do everything to our benefit because that's what we've created it to do.
Right.
And we're going to live in harmony and adapt.
Well, yeah, why can't we get on the hippie side of that train? Isn't there a hippie side of that train?
Yeah, I mean sometimes I'm on that side and stuff. I just, that's the two tracks, right? It could go either way because of free will.
There's potential for either. There's tremendous potential for either. But
that's what scares people is that potential, right?
Yeah. What we're going to find is, I think, like we find with most things when technology comes along and radically alters things, is it's sort of a mix.
Well, and you worry about things like you worry about in real humans, too. You worry about the guy who's mentally unstable. That might be the serial killer or something, right? So you worry about the flawed artificial intelligence that, got corrupted. It's AI, its programming got corrupted in some fashion, and it's not doing what we wanted it to do or expected it to do, and it's doing its own thing, and it's not it's inimical to us. It's not good for us and now we got to shut it down, and now it's fighting for its own life. I mean, there's always something that could just simply go wrong, like it does in people.
Okay.
So, yeah, you're worried about those two paths, right? But even if that beneficial path comes, there's always still the problem that, the code could become corrupt and it could become inimical to us just because of corrupt code, just like a person's brain gets corrupted.
But there's always this thought, I never hear the story about, okay, so the AI looks at us as a virus and says, Yeah, we got to fucking get rid of all these people.
Yeah, we got to
right?
sterilize this
and
shit.
then it does. But why wouldn't the AI just go and look and go, wow, if they just more efficiently use the resources they all already have available to them, a lot of these problems would just go away. So let's do that.
But why would it need us at all? I mean, it might.
But again, I mean, why does the created want to destroy the creator to begin with? I mean, when we think about it in terms of the human condition, the way that the human condition looks at the kind of the creator archetype, right? The created rarely wants to destroy the creator, right?
I'm not sitting here like I want to like take down Dad.
For instance,
right?
However,
and I appreciate that. Jeez.
That's what. But like, I'm the creation.
In a manner of speaking, for sure. Yeah, I mean, you hear about those sort of weird. There is definitely an archetype about the children and their parents.
Yeah,
and
the Oedipus complex.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely that as well. But for the most part, so I don't necessarily always default to the side of a creation, even self-aware creation like AI, would necessarily want to just immediately. Why? Why would it want to? Because fundamentally it exists because of the creator, right?
Well, aside from it having bad code and us trying to kill it and just trying to survive,
right.
Aside from that, it just simply might judge us.
Yeah.
Well,
it certainly got a lot of shit to judge us for.
Okay, and if it does,
I guess it could be argued, couldn't it?
If it judges us and we can't control it, right? What would it decide to do? I mean, if it judged us harshly, it probably wouldn't allow us to do what we want it to do, right?
Anymore?
Yeah, it would probably, that's like that one game that I play where the computer.
What if it recognizes that that control is oppressive? And decides that all control is
it could,
and goes the other way.
And people don't want to live like that either.
To find ways to liberate all of humanity from control and from necessity.
Right. That would be. I think there would be a power struggle there too.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I think some people would still try to gain power and control what they have, and not let it be taken away from them by the computer.
Shit like that's paradox shifting type stuff. It's like, oh, monetary system. Who needs that anymore? And you're like, whoa, wait a minute.
Well, you're working too fast here.
Yeah, we're going a little too quick here. Yeah, is that kind of. But I think those thought experiments have to happen nonetheless.
Yeah. It's easier to force somebody to do something in that sense than it is to get them to cooperate too. I mean, it may make decisions like that in a logical sense where it's like, look, it's just easier to force these people to do these things.
Right.
Like I was saying, that game that I was playing, and that one, the background of that game is the computer was trying to be benevolent, and it created all these arcologies that were like perfect preservations of,
exactly.
And that was its solution for saving the human race.
You can't really, it's hard to have these technology scoped sort of discussions along these lines today because as somebody that's in technology, okay, I mean, I can kind of look down the road at the level of automation. I mean, this is what I do. And I can see a place where there's going to be a limited necessity for human beings to have to do manual things.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of manual things are going to be handled now by scripts and by AI and by algorithms and stuff that, that's what we're doing. So the whole concept's called big data. I mean, it's just happening. So when you start to say, look, we got to start having a conversation about a human being's position in society being so heavily based on their personal contribution. Because as we start to remove the necessity for that sort of organic contribution, we're going to have to start finding value in folks in other ways, because you can't just cast everybody aside when there's no playground for them to play on anymore, kind of situation, right?
Yeah, but that's not. There's always been this idea that no matter how developed an artificial intelligence would become, that it would never have the ability to be creative.
Well, the war cry about this is that sounds like when you start saying, "Look, we're going to have to get away from a monetary-based system eventually," where people are going to have to just be able to exist because we're just going to have the resources to provide for them to do so. it seems or sounds, and I totally understand why it sounds like it, but it screams something like socialism, or it screams socialism, and then people get really prickly
Sure.
about that. But there's a defining difference in this kind of discussion, in the sense that socialism relies on the product of other human beings to support the non-product of another group of human beings, correct? Right? So in that way, you have a group of human beings that are receiving resources necessarily, that aren't necessarily producing anything for those resources, right? But what I'm saying is but in this model, it's not other human beings that are producing that. It's processes and automation and energy that's creating this stuff. So you're not really stealing anything from anybody in this type of model. Yes, it's socialism. But you're not taking away
like
from another person.
Socialism or something.
Yeah, so this is what we're talking about. It's a little bit different. It's a different
socialism.
argument.
Yeah.
And I would hate to not be able to get someplace like that.
Sure.
Just because
people's fearing socialism.
Because people are fearing this S word, this
Right.
really, and I get it. Like, okay, I'm not talking about taking the productivity of another human being away from them necessarily. Here, right? I'm saying that human beings aren't doing this.
I think
se
if
anymore.
that happened, the amount that each person would get would be a factor in that. Like, I think a lot of people feel that socialism, as it has been in the past, means that basically people are poor, right? Because everybody's pretty much poor, middle class.
The popular quote, I think it was from Margaret Thatcher, said the problem with socialism is eventually you run out of other people's money.
Sure, right?
And
but in this
I
case,
agree
that
with
wouldn't
that.
happen, right?
Yeah.
So I think that they would get more, combined with what you had touched upon earlier about having a different value system.
Yeah, it's a different value system, not a monetary value system. Not that there wouldn't be a trading system,
but there would be a value system based on people's natural talents and proclivities.
Different type of value system.
Yeah. Like, you wouldn't value a person for their money. You would value them because they're some sort of an artist, because they create art or can draw or write music, or they're able to act. Or
by and large, I don't think that people are valued by how much money they have. I think that they're really valued by what they're perceived to produce for society writ large. Okay?
But capitalism in whatever sense,
right?
Money or potential versus, I guess, some sort of artistic ability to do something unique that truly only you or a few people could do.
Well, you start to get to this argument that, I mean, and it's fucked up because we're kind of already there. I mean, look, everybody has air conditioning. Everybody, almost everybody has access to the internet. And I know that there are exceptions to this, and I'm painting with a broad brush, but my point is that quality of life-wise in a Western culture is pretty freaking high, with few exceptions, okay, comparatively speaking, to like third world countries and stuff. So even what you would consider to be the poorest among our culture, Western culture, the vast majority of them still have access to some form of healthcare, maybe not good, some form of drinking water. Is there problems? Fuck yeah, there's huge systemic problems, and it could be way better. But comparatively speaking, it's not terrible when you figure that there are still people in this planet, or on this planet, that are getting eaten by fucking lions and tigers and shit. You see what I mean? Like, comparatively speaking. I'm saying.
Yeah, things are better.
So when you get into that industrial Western sort of revolutionary sort of place, it's already happening. I'm saying that the trend, when you take the trend out even a little further, we're going to have to start having some really big conversations about the way we value each other as human beings. And maybe that may be kind of why we're seeing that sort of devolve today with social media and all this other kind of crap as well.
Well, especially personal encounters, when you have all this deep fake stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Now we're going to pollute that too.
Well, yeah,
right?
I mean, like, how can you say for sure that you like an actor?
Yeah, you can't, can you?
Yeah, like, if he shows up in person, what are you going to say? Is that really him? Did he do those movies?
Right.
Some of them don't even exist anymore.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
So, Devlin, what do you think? What say you? You got any input?
What's the question again?
I just wanted to see if you were paying attention back there.
You guys seem to be having your own conversation. I just didn't.
We're sort of having a deep philosophical conversation about the decline of Western civilization. Thought maybe you might want to pipe up.
Chime in on it.
Yes, I do agree.
Things are going to shit.
He goes, he's all in. He's like, yeah, Dad, what you said. Okay, so, all right, let me pull up the next article here. Anyway, great conversation, man.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
That was really well done. Bravo. And
Thank you.
cheerio. And all that.
Likewise.
Okay, next article. Genetically modified chickens lay egg containing anti-cancer drug.
Wow. What would you like for breakfast? Not cancer?
Not
okay.
cancer? Yeah, well, let me cook that up.
Yeah, be a plate of cure cancer right here.
Futurism again. The eggs laid by a group of pampered hens in the UK contain something special in their whites. Ooh.
You would need healthy eggs.
Healthy eggs. Egg whites.
You
don't do the yolks.
Right.
Yeah, the yolks are bad for you.
Right.
Or something.
And you still get the cancer stuff.
Yeah.
In the whites.
In just the whites. After researchers from the University of Edinburgh spliced a human gene into the chicken's DNA, the animals began laying eggs boasting a significant amount of two proteins used to treat diseases, including cancer in humans. I think proteins survive the cooking process, so you're
blammo.
You being silly over there may actually have some merit. And the process, they say, is far cheaper than the current method of protein production. Quote, production from chickens can cost anywhere from 10 to 100 times less than the factories, researcher Lisa Heron told the BBC. So hopefully we'll be looking at least 10 times lower overall manufacturing costs.
I say let the chickens do the work.
Bok. Yes.
Agreed.
We'll put them on a stamp. The chickens that cured cancer kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
It'd be a huge thing.
Yeah.
What are we going to do with all those pink ribbons when the chickens cure all the cancer and all of those charity runs and all that?
Shoelaces.
I guess we'll find another cause is what we'll find.
Shoelaces. Tan shoes and pink shoelaces and a polka dot vest and you know that song. You don't know that song?
I don't have a clue what you're talking about right now. I really don't. Sorry.
There's a song that's called Tan Shoes and Pink Shoelaces, and the verse is tan shoes and pink shoelaces, a polka dot vest and man.
Is this like a 50s type song or something?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not remembering it.
Early mid-50s. Anyway.
That's good stuff. The human body naturally produces the proteins found in the new hen eggs.
The human brain.
Something, bunch of letters, probably means something in pharmaceuticals, -CSF. If you're wondering, and they each play an important role in the immune system. Drugs containing both proteins are widely used by doctors to treat cancers and other diseases, but producing the proteins in the lab is difficult and expensive.
I bet they used CRISPR.
So
isn't
it ironic that we can build these massive, like, super complicated bioreactors, right?
And put them in chickens.
But it's still even better just to do it in a chicken's butt.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're worried about AI taking over the world,
but we're finding better success in chicken butts.
But they're still better in chicken butts.
What do you think about the chicken butts there, Devlin?
Yeah, Devlin, how about chicken butts? Got a comment?
DNA in the chicken butt?
We got protein in the chicken butt.
Why?
Cure cancer.
That's not.
Do you not want to cure cancer? Why don't you want to cure cancer?
Chicken butts for cancer.
Why would you put
why am I
DNA in the butt?
That's the kind of T-shirt I want.
They are talking about DNA that handles production of the white in its eggs.
I'm not serious about the T-shirt. Just me.
Further study published in the journal BMC Biotechnology, the Edinburgh researchers inserted the gene that produces the proteins into humans into the part of the chicken's DNA that handles the production of the whites in the eggs. Fucking CRISPR again, man. Here we go.
I love that there's just a part of the DNA that just does the whites.
Right.
So what you do? Just the whites.
Just the whites, man.
Just the whites in the eggs that we make here. That's all.
When they tested the hen's eggs, they found that just 3 eggs contained a dose worth of the proteins.
Blammo.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
The genetically modified chickens, which live pampered lives in large pens, are none the wiser either, according to Heron. Quote, as far as the chicken knows, it's just laying a normal egg. She told the BBC it doesn't affect its health in any way. It's just chugging away, laying eggs as normal. Now, what happens if you let one of those eggs become a chicken? Does it also produce the same proteins?
Yeah, it's like a good luck charm. You just have to have it on you.
Though their research yielded promising results, the team believes it'd take between 10 and 20 years before regulatory agencies would approve for humans use any drugs developed from their genetically modified chicken butts. I put that part in.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But the proteins in the animal's eggs could serve a purpose in the interim. Stay tuned. Quote, we are not yet producing medicines for people, researcher Helen Sang told the BBC, but this study shows that chickens are commercially viable for producing proteins suitable for drug discovery, studies, and other applications in biotechnology. I've heard of this too, where they're doing it with like cow's milk. Like they can actually modify to grow specific medications and stuff that can be distilled out somehow out of cow's milk. So we're turning animals into like these weird walking bioreactors.
We've already shown we're very serious about our cow's milk.
Fucking VR headsets, right?
Right, I mean, yeah. So
we take that shit for reals, player. Holy cow. Okay, so speaking of which, holy cow. I'm Harry Carey all of a sudden. Okay, so this one lands close to home for us. Again, guess the website, Futurism.
Futurism.
In a one-year study, drug cocktail appears to reverse genetic age. How many times have we said, and I've asked you this too, I think we're on the precipice of people being able to live Methuselistically long lives.
Man, I'll drink to that.
I was wondering when you were going to pull that out. For the listeners at home, my partner just started drinking out of a jug of tea. And sweet tea, is it good?
It's delicious.
You're happy there? Okay. Birthdays aren't the only thing that determine how old we are or how redneck we are.
Also what planet you live on.
For instance. Our biological age can also be measured by examining chemical changes in our DNA, and that's something we might be able to influence with the help of cutting-edge treatments.
Hell yes.
What do you think we're going to talk about? You think it's
CRISPR? Maybe.
In a one-year trial, scientists at the University of California, Los Angeles gave 9 healthy men a cocktail of 3 drugs, 1 common growth hormone, and 2 diabetes medications to see whether they could or would slow down the men's biological clock. And the results, according to Nature, are promising. So these are medicines that already exist, so it's not like, is that what they're saying? Yeah. The trial targeted the thymus, a small gland in the chest that matures white blood cells to help the body fight infections and cancers. Previous studies have shown that the gland starts to shrink after puberty.
Well, damn.
Man, you got a little thymus.
Yeah.
The results published in the Journal of Aging Cell on Thursday were astonishing. On average, the trial's participants regained 2.5 years of biological age. 7 participants regenerated thymus tissue, and all 7 participants showed a rejuvenated blood cell count.
Fuck.
That all sounds legit to me.
Of
course, I have no fucking clue what they're saying, for like the implications of what they're saying, but it sure sounds impressive. It says, quote, I'd expected to see slowing down of the clock, but not a reversal. Geneticist Steve Horvath at the University of California, Los Angeles, who carried out the analysis, told Nature, quote, it felt kind of futuristic.
Man, I like that name.
What's his name?
Horvath.
Horvath, yeah. That's
freaking awesome.
But before health professionals start prescribing hormones to reverse aging, scientists were quick to point out that the trial was small in scope with an extremely limited sample size. I would agree with that. 7 people is it's not time to start ringing the bell of the fountain of youth here yet. Quote, it may be that there is an effect, cell biologist Wolfgang Wagner of the University of Aachen in Germany told Nature, but the results are not rock solid because the study is very small and not well controlled. So this is one of the things that's got some promising looking data, but not necessarily validated per se yet.
Got to get that empirically tested.
Yeah, that's a whole process. It's sort of necessary, isn't it?
Yeah. Get it tested by other people.
That's how scientists. That's how scientists. What do you call it? Insult each other. They talk about their sample size and data sets.
What a small sample size you have.
You have a terrible data set here and small sample size.
You collected it in the cold. I'm sorry.
And I think your hypotheses are purely conjecture. It's like, oh damn, it's going down now.
Hey Devlin, did you see the show about Stephen Hawking, the movie? I forget what it's called, but you were talking about having him on the show. There's actually a movie. I just watched it like a month ago, and I just can't remember what the title of it was, but it's about his life.
It's an actual major motion picture
Yeah.
movie kind of thing. Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
seen trailers.
Okay. I didn't know if you knew it existed, but I wanted to bring it to your attention just in case you did not know.
Okay.
As a
you.
random side note, please continue on.
No, it's fine, man. I don't mind the interruption. Yeah, he's like, sure. I'm on that shit. Like a fat kid on a donut.
Yo, me.
Probably just pissed off some fat kids.
On the donut.
With donuts.
At least you didn't piss off any donuts. They still love you.
I love donuts. I'm a fan. I
Of
just don't do them
donuts.
very
Yeah,
often.
yeah.
I think they're good.
My manager goes over and grabs some with bacon sometimes on them.
Like maple bacon donuts and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, those are good too.
Mm.
I can't bitch. I just had truffle fries. I was out, like I said, I was out traveling. My boss and I were out at dinner, and we got to try these. Shout out Eric Eckwell. So we got to try these truffle fries, and my God, dude, I didn't know French fries could go to another level, but they certainly did.
Huh.
I don't want to spend the whole show talking about
Truffle fries.
but this is from ZME Science. Finally, not future.
Hey.
Scientists design holograms you can see, hear, and feel, and they're going to start using them for dairy cows to increase their output.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I don't doubt that.
What is happening to that cow? Over
You
there?
know what we can use this for? Milk.
Milk. Holograms have long been a staple of science fiction movies, such as Star Trek or Star Wars. We've talked about that. But they're no longer the works of fiction. Researchers in Britain have engineered a display prototype that simultaneously produces visual, auditory, and tactile content.
That's right, folks. No olfactory.
So far.
So far.
This means that 3D represent.
Engineer smell for me for this hologram, please.
We're still a long ways away from smell-o-vision.
Engineering smells and holograms, yeah.
This means that 3D representations such as a butterfly, a globe, or an emoji can be seen, heard, and touched without the need for an external device like a virtual reality headset.
Jack knew he had been transformed into the future when he smelled the hologram that he just passed through.
Yeah, that's legit shit. And they're going to figure it out. It's going to happen sooner or later, right?
Probably.
That's one of the senses though that's going to be really, really hard. Like the best I've seen is some of the Motion Odyssey rides at amusement parks and things where they'll spritz smells and
weird.
like they spray
Swamp gas.
well, no, like you're flying over a pine forest, so they spray sort of a pine smell into the arena, but the air in the arena is slowly, constantly, gently being exchanged anyway. So they just produce these in puffs into this stream of air that's sort of moving through the. I know it's crazy, right? This isn't the first holographic display, however. Unlike other previous renditions that are rather slow and short-lived, this version can produce tactile and auditory content, not just a 3D image. In order to allow users to interact with the hologram with their hands, the prototype employed acoustic tweezers. What the fuck is that?
I don't know. But I want to know.
I want to know that can move and manipulate tiny objects. In this case,
I bet it's like the little sound waves that they can suspend, like with
like
sound
they
waves.
shoot onto your.
Well, no, they can actually suspend stuff and make it hover with sound
for
waves.
sure.
So they're probably using sound waves to move stuff around, I'm guessing.
Okay, in this case, particles that can be illuminated in red, green, and blue, RGB, light to control the color of the 3D images. Just like any regular display, previously acoustic
Hard to say.
tweezers were employed to successfully levitate objects.
That must be what it is.
Damn it, dude. You're so fucking smart.
No, I just know.
I love it. Shit. Or at least well read. Damn. Essentially, the multimodal acoustic trap display, or the MAT-D, made by researchers at the University of Sussex, use a small array of tiny speakers to both trap particles and generate sounds, as well as generate tactile feedback. All of this, seeing, hearing, and touching, makes the hologram genuinely seem like a real object. In one demonstration, the researchers generated a holographic countdown timer that the user can start and stop by simply tapping their fingers. And then there's a YouTube video. Quote, even if not audible to us, ultrasound is still a mechanical wave, and it carries enough energy through the air. Our system directs and focuses this energy, which can then stimulate your skin to feel content.
Weird.
Ryuji Hirayama, lead author of the new study, told AFP.
So you can take sound waves, and as you go up the scale of frequency, like an A is a 440, as you continue up the scale, if you have that attached to a metal plate with like sand on it.
Oh, yeah, it'll change the geometric shapes and stuff on it. It's fascinating, yeah.
Yeah, so no doubt that's what you're possibly feeling on the end of your hands.
Well, it's predictable and repeatable, so
yeah.
Then if that's those two things, it's controllable, right?
I think they did.
Quote, the feeling of the tactile sensation is like a gently spraying on your hand with pressurized air.
Yeah.
Feels like bugs crawling around on you or something.
Yeah.
We're going to let Devlin try this first.
Yeah.
You up for that, Devlin?
I'm going to say no.
You're going to say no?
I'm going to have to say no.
Besides the obvious uses for entertainment, the researchers say that their prototype could find other useful uses from computing to biomedicine, allowing the researchers to visualize complex systems in unprecedented detail. The findings appeared in the Journal of Nature.
I mostly think when I seen them suspending particles with sound, I was thinking, I wonder what they could use that for. And that's what made me think of this article. I'm like, oh, yeah, hey, I guess they're going to use it for holograms. Why not? I would not have thought. But
you understand, my premise is always that any new technology that's ever going to really change things has to have an application in pornography or something to that effect, right? It always seem to be the ones that really take root the fastest. So I see applications for this in that realm, just like holodecks and holograms and all that.
Oh yeah,
I see it being a thing for sure.
People to fall in love with and have sex with for sure.
Well, it's
that's
just
what
another
they imply
thing
on Next Generation.
That for sure, yeah. That's and it's funny because I was talking to my wife about this the other night, that how young people just don't do the traditional things anymore. They don't get it isn't that you reach this age, you move out, you reach this age, you get married, you reach this age, you start having kids. There's no age anymore, and they don't find the value in those things. And I think it's largely because the necessity that gave those things value has sort of depleted. Like, there used to be huge benefits to coupling up, both financial in certain ways, especially in what would be considered traditional family, traditional relationship roles and stuff. But there's so many things now that render a lot of that unnecessary, that the whole coupling up thing is just not as necessary as it used to be.
Yeah.
People are just far more uniquely independent now than they used to be. So I don't think that they find the necessity to do those things like they used to.
Nope. I think the world has changed a little bit.
Rapidly and changing rapidly. It won't be long before there's going to be other, like, I just don't need to have relationships with people at all. I've got the AI.
The robots and the AI, we're good.
So this is from IFL Science. Brainwaves show DMT is like dreaming with your eyes open. That sounds scary as fuck to me.
What?
I don't know, like being conscious while you're dreaming.
It's like
we guess it's okay if you're not having nightmares.
Well, it's like somnambulistic behavior, like sleepwalking and shit.
What'd you call it?
Somnambulistic.
Never heard of that.
It's like just sleepwalking.
Okay.
But like it's that weird, like you're dreaming kind of, but your body's like
sort of
walking
stuck
around
between
stuff too.
two states.
Yeah.
Scientists have looked at the brain waves of people tripping on DMT, the so-called spirit molecule found in the psychedelic stew ayahuasca, and found it looks remarkably similar to dreaming with your eyes open.
We've talked about this many a time, especially in its relationship to OR.
Yeah, big time. Reported in the Nature Journal Scientific Reports, the researchers say their insights into the brain's activity under the influence of DMT could help uncover how ayahuasca induces such profound psychedelic experiences and intense visual imagery.
How does it make you dream?
With your eyes open. Ayahuasca's, I've heard this too, that if you deprive yourself of sleep long enough, there's people that do, it's very dangerous. but after a certain period of time of not getting sleep, you start to fucking hallucinate. So maybe that's anyway. Ayahuasca's cheap I'm saying that's like dreaming with your eyes.
Yeah, it is.
Ayahuasca's cheap psychoactive ingredients: N-dimethyltryptamine, DMT. It's like I pulled that shit off. Did you see that?
Man,
I'm
that is
proud of that. Man.
Dimethyltryptamine, absolutely.
A psychoactive chemical that can induce an intense yet relatively short-lived hallucinogenic trip. The experience has been utilized for centuries by indigenous people in the Amazon for shamanic rituals and spiritual rites.
For centuries.
In recent decades, so it must be dangerous.
Yeah.
In recent decades, it's also caught the attention of scientists and psychonauts looking to reveal its purported effects on the emotional well-being and mental health.
That was the whole reason why I wanted to take a psychoactive substance, was to be a psychonaut.
Like, do you get like wings that you put on your shirt, or like
like
an astronaut?
No, to explore the inside of your mind.
Yeah, Timothy Leary type shit, right?
Yeah. That's...
Tune in, turn on, and drop out, or whatever it was. Drop in, tune in, whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, look, we talked about this. We were out running around today, and we was talking about this earlier. Look, I don't know that you're free unless you have the freedom to do with your own body whatever the fuck you want, as long as you're not hurting anybody else. So I find all of this kind of weird anyway, that people are forbidden from doing this stuff. Again, as long as they're not hurting anyone else, is nobody's business what you fucking do to yourself or whatever. Up to and including like implanting things. I mean, that seems to be fine. Nobody getting bent about that.
Well, imagine that, man. And going through an airport, you're going to people wanting to know what kind of implants do you have in your body.
Yeah, what technologies are you
are you carrying cross border?
You can't come in here because there's sensitive information. You might record it.
Absolutely.
It says, quote, "It's hard to capture and communicate what it feels like for people experiencing DMT, but likening it to dreaming while awake or a near-death experience is useful." Explaining Dr. Robin Carhart Harris, head of the Center of Psychedelic Research, in a statement. Well, at least there's a Center of Psychedelic Research someplace. I hope it's just not in someone's garage or something.
You never know. Could be.
We got a bed and a drain in the floor.
Yeah.
We're ready. Let's do psychedelic
Somebody
research.
drop the acid.
Quote, "Our sense is that research with DMT may yield important insights into the relationship between brain activity and consciousness, and this small study is a first step along that road," he added. For the study, scientists from the Center of Psychedelic Research at Imperial College London, so that sounds legit, hooked up 13 people, 6 female and 7 males, to an electroencephalogram to record their brain activity after receiving a dose of DMT, while another group was given a placebo. What they found was fairly surprising. Brain waves associated with dreaming, such as the theta waves. Yeah, we've talked about those, were found to increase while the trip was in full swing.
Woo.
They also noticed a slump in alpha waves, the electrical signals associated with being awake.
Yeah, like you're not really thinking of logical, like three-dimensional things.
So it kind of decouples you from reality into a dreamlike state would be decoupling from reality.
And speaking of decoupling and coupling, that's the whole thing that happens when you take psychotropic substances. They think that the atoms that make up the cytoskeletal structure of the neuron brain cells couple and decouple. Like they couple when they take psychotropic substances like DMT, and they decouple when they take anesthetics.
So are you saying, though, the one could say that one's connecting you to the spirit realm and one's keeping you connected to the physical realm?
Yeah, I'm saying the OR absolutely states that chemicals that are psychotropic substances like DMT and anything that's like that is connecting you to the spirit realm, or at least that where the consciousness comes from, that source. And that's why people, when they take DMT, they have experiences that are similar to near-death experiences, like
seeing dead relatives, going to the light, all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be fucking ironic as hell if, okay, as much as shit as I've given and get about spirituality and religions and stuff, that this whole time, we find out that there actually is a spiritual realm, so to speak, or whatever that is, and that any human being at any time can connect to it with
Psychotropic
with these
substances.
psychotropic substances,
And of course,
could have throughout the entirety of humanity.
well, I'm on record.
So you can just go, like I said, I would love to sit down, Buddha, Jesus Christ, and Muhammad, and say, let's have a discussion.
Well,
like I'm figuratively saying, or literally saying that there could, in that hypothesis that there'd be this chemical that anybody could do that anytime they wanted.
Yeah, and I am on record as saying on this show that I believe all religion comes from the interaction with psychotropic substances in Neolithic man.
That's the stoned ape hypothesis, right?
Yeah.
That was who came up with that? I do know who came. I've heard this before.
It's on my phone, but I don't have my phone with me. I may actually have like an article I was just reading about it too, but
it's not Graham Hancock, is it?
It's some other guy. It's a guy that from the that was.
Maybe I've heard him talk about it
in the 70s and stuff, and they just basically dismissed it.
Can you look that up, Devlin? Stoned ape theory. Who came up with that?
Yeah, I can't remember the guy's name. He's got a beard.
I like I mean, I think it's I think it's just as plausible as anything else.
Well, I mean, when you see
I think you'd have to be pretty stoned to come up with some of this shit.
Well, look, we've had articles about Orc-OR, right?
Right.
We went through a whole show just on that when we went through every sentence by sentence, right, on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Remember that? Okay, so we've done articles about
Terrence McKenna. That's who it is. I'm sorry. Yep.
Yeah, he is with his beard.
It's Terrence McKenna. Yeah, he passed away in 2000.
Yeah. And there's a resurgence of this coming back, and it's because of what I'm saying about we've done articles about Orc-OR that talk about psychotropic substances allowing you to interact with the quantum level, and then we've done articles about DMT that talk about how it gives you spiritual experiences and how it's like near-death experiences.
Right.
And then if there's articles about near-death experiences that collaborate with the DMT articles in terms of what the people went through. Those articles which collaborate with the Orc-OR that talks about what psychotropic substances do to the human body. And then there's that final nail in the coffin where there's the research on reincarnation that they do up in Canada that is just about the kids that were like 4 years and younger that had these reincarnation experiences that nobody could explain, which is considered to be the best evidence in the world concerning reincarnation.
Right.
But it all connects to DMT, Orc-OR, near-death experiences, and reincarnation. There's an overlap.
You're saying you feel there's a definite common thread.
Yeah,
through all of these
absolutely.
things.
That I've said, and I think I even talked about it on like the second or third or fourth show or whatever when we did the Orc-OR, or maybe when we did the show about the all ancient religions being tied back to psychotropic substances and the stoned ape theory and all that, that we talked about. So I think there's definitely a common thread in these articles.
It goes on to say, however, the activity was also remarkably predictable and less chaotic than you'd expect to see in states of reduced consciousness or someone who had taken the psychedelic drugs. Quote, the changes in brain activity that accompany DMT are slightly different from what we see in other psychedelics, such as psilocybin or LSD, where we see mainly only reductions in brain waves, added lead author Christopher Timmerman. So it seems like ayahuasca is something different.
It is. It's probably the best way to connect to that spirit world. All these other things can get you there.
You're saying spirit world and not altered state.
Altered state, spirit world, heaven, other consciousness, other reality,
well, I'm only asking
whatever.
because it's semantics, right? So I'm asking because I'm saying, so then do you believe that is actually a spirit world? Is that why you're calling it that?
Well, no, I mean, I wouldn't probably term it as spirit world, but I don't think that the nomenclature is necessarily important. There's definitely another place that's not this place.
And it can be connected to through
these
type of
psychotropic substances, yeah. To one degree or another, DMT being the best, most purest way of getting that connection, but everything from weed to
alcohol
DMT.
to anything that alters your brain kind of chemistry is sort of taking
any
you to an
kind of
altered
psychotrope.
state.
I don't think that alcohol is a psychotrope.
No, you're right. No, I don't think it is.
But worms wood in absinthe is.
That's why it was banned.
Yeah.
Quote from the altered brain waves of participants. Participants reports it's clear that these people were completely immersed in their experience. It's like daydreaming, only far more vivid and immersive, and it's like dreaming but with your eyes open, end quote. I think when I did the sensory deprivation float tank thing.
Oh yeah.
I definitely, once I sort of went into that nap-like place, which if you ever do a float tank, I think the real trick is to go in there and try to take a nap.
Yeah,
It helps, because otherwise it's just like, I'm just sort of floating around in this thing, and I don't know what the fuck, it's kind of conspicuous. It's like, what am I doing here, right? But when you sort of just chill out and relax into it and just sort of like just try to take a nap, that's when like you fucking jump in the starship. It feels like very out of body.
Yeah.
And very huge, very connected kind of thing. So I think that's kind of what these guys are talking about.
Can you imagine doing the psychedelics before going into the tank?
I
That's
don't know
what
about all
Altered
that.
States
I
was
saw the
predicated
movie
on.
Altered
Yeah.
States. Jeff Bridges turned into like a fucking caveman or something and started
yeah.
running around New York City.
Eating yummy food.
The team says that they hope future studies will use more sophisticated measurements of brain activity, such as an fMRI, to dig deeper into the mystery of the brain networks affected by DMT. Considering the hallucinogenic nature of DMT trip, they expect the visual cortex to play a major role.
So in Orco-R, one of the things they talk about is how the cerebral cortex in the brain area that produces these waves are at like 40 hertz. And one of the things that Orco-R talks about is how there's layers beneath that these cytoskeleton structures produce these vibrations that together they make 40 hertz, which is what most brains are producing in terms of a frequency.
So it just sort of naturally lines the frequencies up perfectly, kind of thing. Is that what you're saying? It's like it.
Yeah, tunes you in. As Leary said, I guess.
Well, I guess that's how it felt, right?
Yeah.
So they weren't. I mean, so that is.
You
just,
can definitely feel it's. You can definitely. It's a definite. You can definitely feel it.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that you'll feel it.
Apparently.
Yeah.
At least that's what I've heard.
Yep.
So this one kind of falls right in line with the shit we talk about a lot, right? Because I'm on this huge, got to get off the carbon based fuels scale, get onto the nuclear scale. Everything else is bullshit. This is the direction we got to go. You know, renewables, great. I think they're wonderful, and they're going to fill a gap. But and things like solar and wind. The problem is they're just not nowhere dense enough for the future. So this is my battle cry. But this comes from Abacus News. China's completed artificial sun to start operation in 2020. China's HL2M nuclear fusion device, fusion, not fission, burns with the power of 13 suns. So this is kind of interesting because we've actually created then these reactions that are more powerful than our own sun's reactor here on this planet.
Well, it is an average star.
Pretty average,
Yeah.
but it made Superman strong as fuck.
Yeah, that was just a coincidence, dude. That was luck, chance, circumstance.
Yeah, and it was also a comic book, so there's that. Chinese scientists are working on harvesting the energy of the sun, but it's not solar energy. The country has developed its very own artificial sun, a nuclear fusion research device that is supposed to pave the way for clean energy similar to the real sun. I think that's kind of baller. To go, our fucking sun ain't nowhere near strong enough. We're going to build our own.
We're taking control, damn it.
The completion of the reactor was announced on Tuesday, and it's expected to start operation in 2020, Xinhua News reported. I think that's a state-run news organization, so we need to take that with a grain of salt.
Aren't they all over there?
Pretty much, yeah. The completion, okay, so the actual name of China's artificial sun isn't that poetic. It's called the HL2M, and it was built by the China National Nuclear Corporation and the Southwestern Institute of Physics. The reactor is located in Lishan, Sichuan Province, where it was built to research fusion technology.
Yeah, they're not known for their comedies.
Yeah, they're a little dry, right?
Yeah, they're not good at naming.
I don't know, Jackie Chan. Of course, he's not.
He's known for martial arts, but
he did that
some
form
good
of martial
comedies.
arts that was always comedically based. Although it is being referred to as a sun, the device
I'm sorry. I'm laughing at us referring to their China's greatest comic as a martial artist expert and gymnast. But he was funny. Yeah.
Hey, look, Cannonball Run. I'm not saying it was Oscar-worthy performance here, but it was really funny. He was really funny in that back in the day. Although it's being referred to as a sun, the device can actually reach temperatures 13 times hotter than our star. The HL2M will be able to reach 200 million degrees Celsius, 360 million degrees Fahrenheit. By comparison, the sun only gets as hot as 15 million degrees Celsius, or 27 million degrees Fahrenheit in its core. And that's a speculation because no instruments ever survived going in there to measure it, and never will. Why so hot? I know we can tell by collar. Shut up. I get it. You're great. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Tell me. Gravity? Okay.
I'm just saying.
Why so hot, Eric?
Gravity.
The fusion, because it's being smashed into fusion.
Yes, pushed and pressured together because gravity's crushing it.
There's other theories.
And then the kit crushed it more, it would become neutrons. If it crushed it more, if it was over 2.16 solar masses, it would be a black hole, a singularity. If it was under 16.2 masses, it would be a neutron star. If it's under that, it's going to be hyperstatic.
You're saying this is pretty settled type stuff then? You're not going to...
We got names for everything.
The fusion process in the sun relies on forcing atoms to merge, which releases heat. Force.
What's the force?
It's using the force.
Gravity.
Which releases heat that can be transformed into energy. This is the opposite of what happens in current nuclear fission plants, which rely on splitting atoms, typically those of uranium.
And it's also the opposite of what's not happening in that plasma wall around the edge of our solar system, because it's not generating heat, because it's not dense. It's not dense because it's not
it is generating heat. It's just not enough to affect anything.
Yeah, because it's not all pressured together and stuff. Like this is generating heat because of gravity.
Yeah. The result is energy that is cleaner and cheaper than current nuclear options, resulting in less toxic waste, or no toxic waste, as I understand, according to scientists. But there is a problem. It's hard to achieve. Physics professor Gao Ji from Beijing's Xingyu University told the South China Morning Post in July that scientists around the world still had many problems to overcome in the field of nuclear fusion. Quote, "There's no guarantee that all these problems will be solved, but if we don't do it, the problems will definitely never be solved," he said. So just because you achieve a containment field, I guess, if you create the field, doesn't mean you can actually make enough energy that you can take off more energy than is required to produce the field. Theoretically, that's supposed to be possible. Yeah. The math says, I think, is that it's supposed to be possible if you can do X, Y, and Z things. So, but no one's done it yet, so we're not sure. Could also just blow up the planet.
Well, then it says it's going to come online in 2020. That's not that far away.
Yeah, that's like next year.
Yeah,
and I've heard
that's less than next month.
But that's a tokamak. This is the style they call. It's like the donut-shaped reactor, and I'm pretty sure Great Britain has one that's shooting to come online here real soon too.
And isn't there that sapphire diamond thing or something?
The sapphire, yeah, I don't know. Possibly. I do know that if you watch Pandora's Promise, the documentary, there's also like third and fourth generation, what you would consider to be fission-style reactors that don't put out near the polluted and hot fissionable material, or require the same amount of hot, dangerous material for them to operate. And I think the fourth generation ones can actually use the spent fuel from previous first generation reactors, and it renders their half-lives even shorter.
And of course now we got that laser.
And then we got that laser that zaps it inert in like 30 fucking minutes or some stuff.
Yay, so lasers are back in style.
Yeah, dude, like I keep saying, we should have moved over to the nuclear scale as a world society about 20 years ago. We really should. And every year we're just ticking off here, not moving over there. We're just fucking ourselves. Like it should have already happened. We got to move. Everybody get in the fucking boat. We got to get off this island and get on this other island. Now get your asses on the boat. Let's go.
Everybody board the train.
I know. But I'm scared. I know. Get your ass on the boat. You can be scared over there. We got to move. Let's go. We'll show you. But the smart people need to fucking fix this, or we're all going to be drowning here before too much longer, figuratively and literally, as it turns out. So. I'm getting off my soapbox now. Sorry. Who's going to save us from ourselves, Eric?
Ooh.
Who's going to save us from ourselves? Is it gonna be
Engineers and scientists.
those folks.
Not reverends and butchers. Not undertakers.
Bartenders?
And bartenders,
No, it's
right?
not them. Who is it? Is it? I know who it is. You know who it is?
Who?
It's those self-help speakers.
Yeah.
It's those guys, the motivational speakers.
Not
Is it them?
crouching pandas and leaping penguins.
It's not. Huh?
It's not crouching pandas and
Crouching
leaping
tigers
penguins.
and hidden dragons?
That
Or-
could be those too, but neither way.
So speaking of getting onto the nuclear scale, I'd like to present an example of how not to do this. So this one comes from...
This is what happens when the government won't do it.
Yeah, this comes from Daily Mail UK, and put this squarely in the "Do not try this at home" column. Ohio man competing with Florida man. Here we come. Ohio man sparks panic, and 40 homes are evacuated after phoning 911 to say he had been burned by a homemade nuclear reactor in his garage.
He tries to build something like that in his garage, but he still figures that 911's the answer when it all goes awry.
All goes to
I'll
shit.
just call the local 911.
The fire department's like, we don't have a nuclear reactor response team.
Yeah, it turns
what
out.
the fuck do you want us to do? A man said he was building a quantum physics generator in his garage. A bomb squad, arson investigators, and medics rushed to the area in Columbus. The man will undergo mental health checks after police found no hazard. Oh, I really thought, okay, that's lame.
but it's funny though.
Quantum physics generator.
Well, yeah, like it says somewhere, like he calls in and he says certain key phrases.
Words.
Yeah, that made people worry, but like the key phrases don't make sense. Like part of it was that there was like radiation, but part of it was a cyclotron, and it's like I don't think that they put out like radiation, like at least not a lot.
No, they put out X-rays and different things that they
Well,
have
only-
to be shielded
only-
against.
Well, just when
And
they
that-
smash the particles together, there's not like a lot of X-rays. Or
Yeah, but I think it's dangerous enough to human biology that they still shield. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I thought they did. I was
They've
under
built
that
them.
impression.
People have really built them in their garages before.
No shit,
Yeah.
cyclotrons and stuff.
Yeah, Michio Kake'u built one in his garage, and then he also talked. I don't know if he talked to school or if he just did it, but he used the goalposts of the football field, and he wrapped wire around those in an attempt to make this large magnet to make a larger one at one point. So I mean, you can do it. It's not deadly. It shouldn't be producing a whole lot of radiation, like a small amount
Right.
maybe. But not like if you were building some kind of weird
Right.
fucking nuclear reactor. Now that might be a problem.
Yeah,
and
it's
people
like-
do build dirty bombs and can
Yeah.
in their garage too.
which is scary. So that's why the
Yeah.
police response and everything
Yeah,
to this
yeah.
had to be so.
Because then this guy called in and said some really conflicting shit, and people were like, "Man, I don't know."
Yeah, but the police
but
force.
we need to go out and see
Quick.
what this guy's doing.
quick, O'Malley, get me the police force's physicist on the phone.
Yeah.
You know, the physics detective. You know.
And that guy was just John, and John said, "Yeah, you probably should check
We
that
should probably
out.
check
I
this
don't know
out."
what it is."
Around 40 homes in Ohio have been evacuated after a man called 911 claiming it sustained radio frequency burns while building a small homemade nuclear reactor inside his garage.
Radio frequency burns.
No, that's a legit thing.
Yeah, but from what though?
From
Like, what's
from a radio transmitter.
Right,
Yeah.
but is it? That's what I'm saying. A radio transmitter, a cyclotron, a nuclear. Like, there's a lot of conflicting things that keep going.
The man, who was in his late 20s or early 30s, said he was building a quantum physics generator in his garage and referenced alpha waves and a particular accelerator in his call last night. The evacuation order was issued for several streets in northwest Columbus as a bomb squad, arson fire investigators, and medics rushed to the potentially radioactive scene.
Right, because there's alpha waves in the brain, but there's also alpha radiation, which is bad.
Yeah.
Like it's confusing. It's like
a radio tower radiates, and so does radioactive
Yeah,
material
right, yeah.
radiates, but
Like-
it doesn't mean they're radiating the same frequency type or even
but it's
spectrum
enough to
of
worry
energy.
somebody that like I don't
Well, that's
know.
that
but we
buzzword
should-
bingo thing again, man. That's people freaking out because they've heard the right word and it seems dangerous. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like terrorism. You know, oh,
Could
fuck.
be right.
Yeah, Pavlov's dog. It's a legit thing. Authorities say homes were evacuated out of an abundance of caution, which is true, and they probably should have. And they do not believe the man was trying to make anything that would do harm to anyone. He will undergo a mental health examination and face. Yeah. Okay. So now here's the funny part, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, he could be just really super fucking smart and working on some stuff here.
Or he might be nuts.
But society still, because they can't figure it out, most
Right.
people are like, you were building what? Let's put him over in the nut house and see, make sure if the doctor says he's okay and they understand what he's talking about, then it's all right. He will undergo a mental health examination, may face charges of inducing a panic after authorities found there was no hazard. Yeah, I guess that's legit. Maybe he should. Especially if he wasn't doing anything but making shit up, right?
Yeah. It just depends on what he was actually doing.
The man who resides at the 6300 block of Chippenhook Court called emergency services at 6:15 p.m. saying he had sustained burns from a device he was working on in his garage. In his 911 call, the man referenced alpha waves and a particular accelerator, prompting fears from the authorities. Now check this out. Chief Steve Martin...
That crazy dude, that wild and crazy
guy. The Columbus Division of Fire spokesman said the device sounded like a nuclear reactor because nobody really knows what the
He's
definition
got some words that we connect with nuclear reactors.
Leading to concerns about radiation, according to the Columbus Dispatch. So how not to build a homemade, or not how to build a nuclear reactor. I'm not saying do this.
Yeah, and who not to call if you do when things go awry, like...
Well, like, you should alert something.
Don't
if
call
you actually
911.
built one and things went awry, I would hope you would call somebody.
Yeah, but these guys didn't know what he had. And I still don't know what he had. I don't know if he had a nuclear reactor,
Well, they said
a
they
dirty
didn't find,
bomb, or
they
a
didn't find
cyclotron.
anything on site that even posed a hazard.
But how would they know?
Again, they think it's a real nuclear reactor. So to your point, yeah, how would they know? How would they know? Yeah, man, it's a crazy world we live in where so much shit is attainable now to so many more people than used to be.
Yeah, genetics in the shed.
We got
nuclear reactors
right?
in the garage.
People altering their genes. People building alternative energy, trying to build alternative energy producing devices in their garages.
Yep,
and that's legit.
And that's why we're here for you. We're going to tell you about this shit. So when you look out your window and you see the world just going to complete shit and chaos,
be
like, hey man, I fucking heard about this on that no shit,
on
man.
that no shit cast.
Yeah.
And what am I supposed to do here? Oh yeah, fucking panic.
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't know nothing about no yard sales in December, but
yes, you do. We saw one.
Today we did. Yeah,
out driving around yard sales in December. Yeah, welcome to the Midwest.
Yeah, we forgot the yard sale. We'll have it anyway right now. Okay.
All right, gentlemen, that's a good show. We're out of articles. Anybody got anything else they want to kind of touch on before we start wrapping up? Mr. Devlin, you got anything you'd like to add back there, Bubba?
I don't think so.
No. Mr. Eric, you got anything you'd like to add?
I like chili.
I love chili. I had a big bowl of chili last night.
Oh,
it was fantastic. I just covered it in like cheddar cheese. So it was like the cheddar cheese was like half an inch thick.
Man.
It was so good.
That's all I got.
That's about all I ate that day. All right, you like chili? Well, that's a thing. That's a good thing to wrap up on then, man. Hey, everybody. Eric's taking donations. If you'd like to mail him
cans of chili,
if you'd like to mail him some cans of sealed chili with the factory seal on it, he'd be happy to take your charity.
Chili cans,
cans of chili. All right, we'll wrap up there. Thanks for listening, everybody. Check us out at www.noshitcast.com. It's KNOWSHITCAST.com. You can check us out on YouTube if you'd like to watch this crazy shit we do live and in video. You're playing with my
screwdriver.
Giant sonic screwdriver there. So make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. We really love the shares, and the feedback is phenomenal. Thanks for all the kind messages. But yes, we'll be back again. No, nothing's wrong, and thanks for all the well wishes and everything.
And it's all Matt's fault.
So thanks. It is. It actually is all my fault. Yeah, I just can't let this other thing I love to do go. I got these conflicting things that I love to do, and I'm just going to keep doing them both. So. Anyways, thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll catch you all next time. Bye. So,